Hi, I'm Jen. This is my Impress Me project, and I'm going to be comparing the literature that we read this year to contemporary society. I'd like to start with one of the first books that we read, not the very first, but the second book that we read, which is the Iliad. And in the Iliad, you see this kind of repetitive idea of like the two sides, the two extremes. Trojans versus Achaeans. And you see the same kind of thing today with politicians. There's right wing or left wing. You're Democratic or Republican. You are one or the other. You are one with us or you're one against us. And this extremist view is causing us a lot of harm. If these politicians could get over their pride, realize that sometimes they are wrong, and be able to work with each other, we would get over so many problems. My next book that I want to talk about is Orwell's 1984. There are a lot of parallels from 1984 to today's society, and particularly in politics. And I wanted to start with the IRS. The IRS is in charge of Obamacare, and Obamacare is a federal law or regulation. States have to vote yes or no whether or not they would like it to be used. 23 states voted yes and 27 states voted no. The IRS decided that in the 27 states that voted no, they would continue setting up Obamacare and setting up these subsidies. They have been accused by 10 million Americans of stealing 60 million medical records for Obamacare. On top of this, the IRS has also been accused of targeting Tea Party and other conservative members during their tax refunds. The IRS is taking all the power that they have, and it seems as though it's been getting more and more corrupt. The power seems to be falling to the wrong hands, and they seem to be making more and more of the wrong decisions. The IRS shouldn't be able to decide which party has a money advantage over the other simply because they can. Just because they can doesn't mean that they should. Then we get to different scandals, like the AP phone record scandal, where the US Justice Department seized 2 months worth of phone records, including personal numbers and all outgoing calls. They were trying to find out who leaked classified information about a failed bomb in a Yemen airliner. This is a big deal because the US government had priorly stated that they didn't have any, quote, credible information that terrorist organizations are plotting attacks. Obviously this was false, and the government was lying to us. Not only that, but they went into Associated Press and seized their records without due process of law and took personal information which they didn't need to take. The fact that they can get away with, 1, lying straight to our faces, 2, completely obliterating our personal rights, that's not right. That's not what the government is supposed to be doing. It should be our own choice whether or not we are ignorant. It is not their choice for us. Yes, it would be a happier world where we didn't think that the government was corrupt and was lying and was doing all these awful things, but these are things that people need to know. I think that we have a right to decide for ourselves whether or not we want to be informed or uninformed about what the government is doing. The next topic I'd like to discuss is the media, particularly getting all of our information from one source. Now, in Frankenstein, we get all of our information from Walton, and it's really easy to forget that we don't have Victor or the creature narrating our parts of the story, and it's the same with media today. The media is influential and it is everywhere. The places that we get our stories from tell us everything. Who we want to be, who we want our friends to be, what we want our country to be like, what we want our country to be in the future, what our opinions are. And turns out about 95% of the media that we receive are from the same 7 corporations. If you look at the top 20 news stations on TV, the first 13 are all owned by Fox. Even though they all have different names, you're still getting all of your information from Fox. It turns into this monopoly of corporations being able to tell the public whatever they want, and nobody will doubt it. It will become fact. And it turns into this giant spread of propaganda. They have so much power over how you see government and politics. And the media doesn't only have control over our opinions, but it has control over what we think of ourselves. And you see this in commercials. They tell women that you need to be like beautiful and tall and tan and completely thin with no belly, and it turns into this very brainwashing effect where when you see every ad with this beautiful thin woman, it leads to lower self-esteem based on what society wants.
Smaller, lighter, tighter, thinner, softer. It really works.
You have to look a certain way. You are taught that if you don't look that way, you will never fit in. You're rejected. It's honestly just a terrible, terrible message. It does the same thing with Frankenstein. He strives so much to be like them. He does everything that's in his power to be like them. Yet he is constantly rejected simply because he doesn't fit the looks that society wants. The point of the matter is that we're still doing the same thing today and we're letting it happen. So the next thing that I want to talk about is man's obsession with leaving his mark on the world. And in today's society, it's really easy to be famous or remembered. That we come up with all these different titles and names and achievements and awards that people can receive, that it becomes more and more useless. And what we don't realize is that the more we can be remembered, the more we can be forgotten. And more importantly, in the end, none of us will even be remembered. One day we're gonna be gone, and that's it. No one will remember us. If we could just spend our time enjoying the life that we've gotten and enjoying what we do have, instead of worrying about what we don't have, what we could have, what's going to happen after us, then we would be able to enjoy our lives so much more. The last thing that I want to talk about today is man's breaking of the glass ceiling. You see that a lot today with man-made genetic mutations. And scientists have succeeded in taking like fish DNA and inserting it in tomatoes, which somehow makes the tomatoes taste better, or is supposed to make the tomatoes better for you, or different things like that. If we were supposed to have these tomatoes, then they would have occurred naturally. And then you see the same thing with cloning. You go into nature and you're saying, oh, I really like that. Can I get 3 of them? You should be grateful with what you get. You shouldn't demand for more. By making cloning possible, you are demanding more and then looping a way around to find more. It's not within our bounds. I'm going to show you a clip from Jurassic Park, which I think perfectly embodies how man breaking the glass ceiling with these kind of scientific discoveries. It really is dangerous, and we don't really realize the consequences until it is too late. And this is...
Gee, the lack of humility before nature that's being displayed here staggers me.
Well, thank you, Dr. Malcolm, but I think things are a little bit different than you and I had feared.
Yeah, I know. They're a lot worse.
Now, wait a second. Now, we haven't even seen the part where you feel...
Donald, let him talk. There's no reason. No, I want to hear every viewpoint. I really do.
Yeah, don't you see the danger, John, inherent in what you're doing here? Genetic power is the most awesome force the planet's ever seen, but you wield it like a kid that's found his dad's gun.
It's hardly appropriate to start hurling generalizations.
If I may. I'll tell you the problem with the scientific power that you're using here. It didn't require any discipline to attain it. You know, you read what others had done, and you took the next step. You didn't earn the knowledge for yourselves, so you don't take any responsibility for it. You stood on the shoulders of geniuses to accomplish something as fast as you could, and before you even knew what you had, you patented it and packaged it and slapped it on a plastic lunchbox, and now you're selling it. You want to sell it. Well,
I don't think you're giving us our due credit. Our scientists have done things which nobody's ever done before.
yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
Condors. Condors are on the verge of extinction. If I was to if I was to create a flock of condors on this island, you wouldn't have anything to say.
No, hold on. This isn't some species that was obliterated by deforestation or the building of a dam. Dinosaurs had their shot, and nature selected them for extinction.
I simply don't understand this Luddite attitude, especially from a scientist. I mean, how can we stand in the light of discovery and not act?
Oh, what's so great about discovery? It's a violent, penetrative act that scars what it explores, what you call discovery. I call the rape of the natural world.
The world in itself is a contradiction. History repeats, yet the future is unimaginable. We are both brimming with ideas and void with ideas. Being original is cliche. No ideas we really create can be new. To be honest, there is no way to win. Impress with you. No.